Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video I decided to do ranking the worst BLs. I will say this is my own personal opinion on the ones that I've watched, so please don't take it to heart if you really do love these. But let's get started. Alright, so for my number 5, it's Dark Blue and Moonlight. It's a Taiwanese BL that came out a few years ago, and I'm sure some people are surprised that maybe it's on the list, because I don't think it was a badly made BL, or in terms of production, it wasn't the worst that I've seen either, but I will say it was a boring plot line, it was kind of stiff acting, and I'm very over the sad gay ending narrative. Also, it didn't help that both the leads were so annoying that I wasn't rooting for them. I wasn't rooting for them to get together. I wasn't rooting for her side couples to work out. It just was so annoying. I kind of was just rooting for Chen the entire time to just leave the lead guy and go find his own happiness. So again, this one's on the list mostly for personal reasons that I just didn't like the characters and the storyline. But in terms of production, and if you're looking for cute boys kissing, then go ahead and watch it. But it personally just wasn't for me. And like I said, I'm over the whole sad ending. I wasn't rooting for them, but I still didn't want the sad ending. So again, it was just my personal opinion. My number 4 pick is Capture Lover. It's a short Chinese BL, and the production value on this one, guys, is low. Like, shot on an old iPhone, low. Sometimes the actors were dubbed, sometimes they weren't. The space that they used, like the apartment and the office space, were just really bad. I mean, in the whole terms, this was not a very high-end production, but even that could have been salvaged, but they just tried to do every cliche possible. In this BL, you had the rich guy, the poor guy. If you watched any Chinese BLs, you know the mother always has a heart attack. They had that in there to like force the two main leads apart. They had the nasty ex-girlfriend. Literally, it's like a dart. Like, they were trying to hit every cliche possible. I will give it like 1 point in not having a sad ending. It was more of an ambiguous ending, so I guess that worked in their favor. But the show was so bad that it was almost good and really funny in an unintentional way. So at your own risk, guys, go ahead and take a watch. My number 3 pick, it's Waterboy the series, not the movie, the actual series. It's a Thai drama that came out a few years ago, and boy oh boy, the drama just felt too long, but it was only 14 episodes, which isn't a long series, but it felt like it. And the worst part was it was forgettable. I can't actually remember most of the plot. I had way too many side characters. The main couple, Wei and Apple, I think that's how you say their names, felt more like side characters than the main leads. I will say Earth and You had great chemistry together, but Earth was with his girlfriend way too long and leading New's character on, which I really didn't like. And the girlfriend, like, girl, have some respect for yourself. Like, the dude didn't like you anymore. Move on. If you want to watch this one for New and Earth shirtless, and a lot of guys shirtless because they're on a swim team, go ahead, do your thing. But the story itself, it's not really interesting. Like I said, it was a struggle to finish this one. So before we get to the last two, I decided to do a few dishonorable mentions. I didn't hate them, but I kind of dislike them. The first one I'll mention is Lovesick Season 2. I didn't hate it, I just thought it was too long and too many side characters and too many storylines, and some things just didn't really make sense. But I liked it for what it was. I know it's like the grandfather of all BLs, but I still thought there was a few problems with it. The next one I'll mention is A Round Trip to Love Part 1 and 2. They're movies. It's not a series. It's Chinese, and it came out a few years ago. Apparently there was supposed to be a part 3, but it never came out, so it's kind of just left open-ended. I will say this makes Tarn and Type look like a happy, normal relationship, so take that as you will. This is crazy. If you want to watch it, you can find it. I highly recommend that you don't have anyone around you. And the last one I'll mention is Irresistible, Part 1 and 2. Again, it's another Chinese movie. It's not a series. It's not horrible, but there's nothing, they're not reinventing the wheel. I will say, if you're watching Part 2, if you want the happy ending, make sure you're watching the happy ending. This was done that they shot it both ways, so you could have the sad ending or the happy ending. And unsurprisingly, I think, the 1 and 2 pick is What the Duck, Season 1 and Season 2. This one is a bit of an infamous BL. I think everybody kind of universally says how bad it is, and people think, oh, it can't be that bad, and then you watch it and you're like, oh, it's actually worse than it really is. It has a little bit of controversy too, because Mew and Art had a thing that I'm not even going to mention because it has nothing to do with the series. But if you want to watch it from Mew, go for it. The acting isn't bad. Also, I think it was such a disappointment because it had so much potential. It wasn't a high school-based story or a college-based story. It had to do with adults in the real world and managing that, but then it just became a big mess. They could have handled some storylines better, like Mew and Art's relationship. It just fell apart so quickly, so it didn't even give you a chance to really root for them. And the main couple had the cliche in the sense of one of the guys had the girlfriend and it just dragged on way too long, that he was having feelings for the guy but still dragging his girlfriend along, which, funny enough, is the same girl from Waterboy, and she was also in Together with Me, which makes it even funnier to me. Like, this girl wants to be hated. Anyways, not the point, but the first season was 20 episodes long, and it wasn't long, but it kind of felt like things were dragged out for no reason. And then the second season, which is called Final Call, was only 8 episodes long, and it was heavy on the flashbacks, and they introduced 2 new characters who might have been brothers or might have just grown up in an orphanage together, but they didn't even give them a very good ending, in my opinion. It just kind of ended. And spoiler alert for those, you better stop it right now, who don't want to know the ending, the main couple does not end up together. You watch 28 episodes and then it just ends, and it's just the most ridiculous ending. I think that's one of the big reasons why it's hated. Yeah, so rightfully so, people don't like this one, and I can understand why. That does it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know which ones do you think are the worst, or if I was too harsh. I want to hear from you. Also, please subscribe, or don't. It's a free country. But I'll see you in my next video. Bye!